Hello，大家好，欢迎来到读书时间。我们今天继续读《Soft Hearts》Rett Swinson Mystery 这本书。好，我们现在开始。Inside, I poured a glass of wine and took it up to my bed. I already regretted not raising some additional questions with Daryl about the pair. For example, if Otis had found the pair in the alleyway, why would he go and plant it in Skip's car, only to return again to the alley? He'd have to know such behavior would appear suspicious, but it was no use speculating. It's no use speculating. It's no use speculating. If I was going to help Otis and Trent, I'd have to present real evidence to back up my alternate theories. Speculating. Form a theory or conjecture about a subject without firm evidence. Invest in stocks, property, or other ventures in the hope of gain, but with the risk of loss. On the bedside table was the short stack of books I'd collected during the case. Among them was a burnt-out copy of the spy's briefcase. If only I could speak to Andrew and Ion. What might he tell me? I raised my glass of Pinot Noir. A toast to Andy and Ion. I was about to take a sip, but stopped myself. Close your eyes and listen. It hums your melody. Perhaps I couldn't speak to Andy, but maybe he could speak to me. I tracked down the book of romantic poetry I'd bought at the estate sale and hurriedly turned to the long section on John Keats. Introducing Keats' poetry was an essay by the book's editor that spoke glowingly of the young Englishman's amazing talent. The introduction included words that Keats' good friend, the poet Percy Bysshe Shelley, had penned after the poet's death. John Keats died at Rome of consumption. In his 24th year, the 23rd of February 1821, and was buried in the romantic and lovely cemetery of the Protestants in that city. The savage criticism on his endymion which appeared in the Quarterly Review, produced the most violent effect on his susceptible mind. The agitation thus originated and ended in the rupture of a blood vessel in the lungs. A rapid consumption ensued. Happen or occur afterwards as a result, and the succeeding acknowledgments from more candid critics the true greatness of his powers were ineffectual to heal the wound thus wantonly inflicted, cause to be suffered by something or something wantonly in a deliberate and unprovoked way, or ineffectually, not producing any significant or desired effect. True greatness of his power were wrote down the book of romantic poetry I bought this. You, one of the meanest, have wantonly defaced one of the noblest specimens of the workmanship of God. Nor shall it be your excuse that murderer as you are, you have spoken daggers, but used now. Only defaced one of spoil the surface or appearance of something, for example, by drawing or writing on it. Disfigure. Specimen, individual, animal or plant, piece of mineral effect as example of its species or typical scientific study or display, used to refer humorously to a person or animal. One of the murderer as you are, you have spoken daggers, but used none. Dagger, a short knife with a pointy and edged blade as a weapon. So Shelley blamed literary critic for the death of John Keats, whereas everything else I'd read at tribute his death to tuberculosis. I skipped over the Keats poems that I'd already read and landed at the opening stanza of Keats' longest work. The poem I hadn't yet had the courage or opening stanza. Tuberculosis. infectious bacterial disease characterized by the growth of nerve in the tissues, especially in the lungs. Already read and landed at the opening stanza. A group of lines forming the basic recurring metrical unit in a poem, a verse. The poem hadn't yet had the courage or stamina to tackle. Stamina, the ability to sustain prolonged physical or mental effort. The young Bard's 4,000-line epic about a Greek shepherd named Endymion. Young Bards for a name that must have inspired someone else's choice of a pen name, Endymion. Endymion's first line read, "A scene of beauty is a wonderful scene indeed. Only about 3,999 lines to go." I could almost hear Darrell's voice saying how this line of thinking could not lead to anything at all that was relevant. It was crazy to think that reading such an old-fashioned poem could shed a single ray of light on this confusing murder case. So be it. Call the gesture absurd tonight to me. It was a needless necessity. Reading the poem took me all night and put me in a sort of trance, a half-conscious state categorized by an absence of response to external stimuli, typically as induced by hypnosis or entered by a medium. This haze sort of trance. When I had finished, it was like I had been shown every detail about the case, or nearly everything. I walked outside where light was dawning, or as the young kids might put it, more. 'Twas the more. Apollo's upward fire made every eastern cloud a silvery prey of brightness so unsolid. Pyre, a heap of combustible material, especially one of burning corpse as a part of funeral ceremony. Bright unsolid, not spoiled or made impure, spotless, blemished. That therein melancholy spirit well might win oblivion and melt out his essence flying into the winds. 好，谢谢大家，我们今天先读到这里吧，那我们下次再见了，拜拜。